Why did you get banned? Why did you go to jail?
I'm fully aware that I would not have been banned or cancelled if I wasn't Andrew's brother. If I had played things my way, me and Andrew would probably be back in jail. I jumped off the rock. I'm not scared of jail. You want to send me back? Good, because if you send me back, you're now going to have to explain to the world why.
Can they even do that? Like, what is the crime? Every story, all the girls, it's only towards Andrew.
They don't care about the truth. They just want to spin some negative story. They wanted the Tate brothers in jail. It's us against the world.
So when you hear the word Tate, you think about Andrew Tate, but it's really the brothers, Andrew and Tristan Tate. And when I think about Tristan Tate, I told him earlier, I said, you could have gone a completely different route. The guy looks like a Hollywood star. He looks like a movie star. He looks like he could have played James Bond. Maybe they should even consider him for James. I know they just made the announcement. He looks like a real James Bond. Dresses like one, has the personality of one. The ladies love him. If you've never seen his pictures, just go on Google, type in Tristan Tate. You'll see what he looks like, good looking guy. But he's got a complete different identity to himself, very different than Andrew. We had a very good time talking to Andrew, your brother, and the way he built you up today was very unique. I've seen you guys talk to each other about each other, but the way he did it today was very different. Anyways, Tristan, it's good to have you on the podcast.
It's good to finally meet
Yes.
you.
Last time we met in Madrid, but we never did a podcast together.
No, for about 60 seconds. I was saying I was eating Spanish paella the night before, cracked one of my teeth, and the next morning Andrew wakes me up saying, okay, let's go to Patrick's podcast, and I had this big swollen face, so I hid inside of my hotel, but I did catch you for about 45 seconds by reception because we were staying in the same place.
Yeah.
And you thought I'd been in the fight.
I thought, because you guys fight, I'm like, this guy probably got into a fight. Apparently now I know the story.
He lost to some muscles, but not the good kind of muscles.
Yeah, not the good kind.
So here's my question for you. When we read the stories about why, Andrew's gone to prison, or Andrew this, or this woman came out, or that woman came out, why did you go to jail? Why did you get banned? Why did they take your Instagram down? I mean, I remember the pictures. It was all cars and suits and motivational stuff. So is it guilty by association?
It is guilty by association. I hate to say it, but I'm fully aware that I would not have been banned or cancelled or probably ended up in jail if I wasn't Andrew's brother. But there are so many benefits that come with being Andrew's brother that you have to take the good with the, with the bad. So it didn't upset me too much. No, I smiled about it.
Where does this positive attitude come from? You could be the victim. Oh, Andrew, you did this. Yeah, you landed me in jail. Look at all our assets are seized. Yet, smile on your face, as gracious, just humble guy. Where did all this come from?
It's always been the way me and Andrew are, and we've shared in our successes. The first time he became a millionaire, we celebrated. When I became a millionaire, we celebrated. When we bought our first supercar, we drove that home from the dealership together. So every single positive moment in my life, the first time we ever chartered a private jet, I remember we were just happy, drinking, having a great time on the plane. This is before he reverted, before anybody jumps on that drinking reference. But if you want to take all the good moments from having a relationship, a brotherly relationship like me and Andrew have, and then he becomes the world's most Googled man, one of the most influential men, I guess, in the world. And by default, he's attacked by the Matrix in a way that ends up with him being thrown in prison. I feel like I'd be more mad if I didn't go to prison with him. I'd feel like, I've taken all the good from being associated with Andrew, and, he builds me up and I build him up. And for him to be sitting in jail without me, it would just feel wrong. So I'm not even mad about it. I'm the opposite of mad about it. I'm glad they roped me in with it. I'm glad they said guilty by association. I'm glad they throw me in jail with him. And if they frame him for real and send him back, they better send me back too, or I'll break myself in.
You break yourself into jail.
I'll break into the jail.
Right.
Seduce one of the prison guards or something smart. I could probably
can't see you
pull it
doing
off.
something like that. I can't see you doing something like that. But you did give a good book recommendation earlier. I appreciate that, which was great. It's an inside joke, but so going back to this whole story of, I got confused right now because, we're both in a different place right now.
I got it.
I'm thinking number 7. I'm thinking 8.5. I'm in a whole different place today.
Okay.
Well, working out is good. Staying in shape is good. All that stuff is a very good thing.
Yeah.
So really though, when you talk to your lawyers, why did they put you in jail? I mean, I know it's guilty by association. Can they even do that? Like, What is the crime? Every story, all the girls, it's only towards Andrew. Where are you involved?
Yeah, well, when digging through Andrew's entire past, trying to find a reason to put him in jail, what you have to understand is we have not been accused by X number of women. The prosecutor has accused us of doing X to X number of women. These women actually defend us actively. One of the statements in the file is a girl who I used to date a little bit. She details nothing illegal, says nothing illegal went on. She wasn't held against her will, she wasn't trafficked, she wasn't exploited. But because I used to sleep with her, I guess I'm guilty too. So, I mean, I guess one of the girls is my ex. So that's the only real link with me. But yeah, it's guilty by association. They wanted the Tate brothers in jail.
So when they came to arrest, did they come to, was it you and Andrew? It was both of you.
Yeah, they had arrest warrants for both of us. And when they came to arrest us, what's very funny is my cousin's girlfriend was here at the time with her friend. There were actually women in the house at the time. The women in the house were not questioned. The women in the house were not asked if they were okay. The women in the house were not asked if they were in danger, if they were safe. They were completely left alone, left to sit on the couch with us while the police watched over us, while they went through the house and took everything that was valuable. They were Googling the value of the various items they were taking, marking it down on a spreadsheet, and they left, I think, without saying a single word to the women who were in this house, which is very unusual, you would think, in an investigation about human trafficking. But you know, you could take what implications from there you will, and guess what their motivations were, if you will. But I can't say anything at the moment.
That makes sense. So we talked to Andrew earlier about his experience in jail. How was the experience for you, from your point of view?
Well, I mean, Romania spends less money per prisoner than any single country in the European Union. The prisons are constantly getting in trouble from the European Union for being underfunded, too many people per room, not enough square meters, not enough calories per day. So the jail experience, it wasn't good, but it was interesting. And I took jail in a very strange way. I feel like if you're gonna walk around the world running your mouth all the time about what you are and what you think you are, eventually something's going to come along in the world and test you. If you walk around saying, I'm the baddest man on the planet, I can beat anyone up on earth, one day someone in the street is going to be like, you're the guy who thinks he can beat anyone up and punch your lights out. You know, I don't speak as much as Andrew, but I do say I'm a very strong-minded person. I always preach to young men, if you're going through hardships, you need to deal with it like a man, continue your training, stay focused. And it just felt like God gave me an opportunity to prove to myself, above all else, as well as to everyone else who listens to me, that I am actually what I say I am. So coming out of jail, I'm almost grateful for the experience, as hellish as the environment was.
As hellish as the environment was, you were grateful for it?
Yeah, I'm grateful that my life has been very, very easy for the last 6 or 7 years. I retired from professional fighting when I was 28. The last sad thing that I guess happened to me was my father passing when I was 26 and a half. So I'm 34 now, I'm coming up 35. These things happened a very long time ago. I've increased in wealth, I've increased in fame. I fly around the world doing whatever I like, driving whatever car I like, staying wherever I like, sleeping wherever I like, going, it's been such an amazing experience that I haven't tested myself for real in a very long time. So yeah, grateful for the experience.
Andrew had very high praise about you, right? I mean, we did a whole segment about, he always thought you were the best brother in the world, but after being in jail with you, now he knows, he's confirmed and reaffirmed that you're the best brother in the world. And he almost kind of compared you to like being the yin to his yang, right? And I didn't really fully understand who Tristan was. We've sat with Andrew for hours on end. We had 45 seconds with you after that paella incident, right? But he says that your special gift is you've mastered the art of not giving a fuck. Yeah. So what is that all about?
Well, I'd say it's not giving a fuck in the way that, because I know people who don't give a fuck. Their life sucks. They don't work out. They don't care about their own health, happiness, wealth, work. Not in a degenerate, I'm a bum kind of way. I'll give you a better example, because I know exactly what he means. I feel like, because I am his younger brother, every great general who sits at a table with his staff needs that one fearless guy with him. He needs people who preach prudence and being careful, and we have those people, believe me. They're very, very loud in our ears every single day since getting out of jail. But, if you're a great samurai general and you're sitting around the table, you also need that one guy who says, okay, there's 10,000 of them, there's 5 of us, okay, let's just go. It's more fearlessness than not giving a fuck. If I had played things my way since getting out of jail, me and Andrew would probably be back in jail right now. I'm censoring myself on this podcast, but the first day I got out, I thought, you know what, screw it. Let me just put a camera on, just tell the whole world what's going on, and let them take me away live on stream. That's me. So luckily he keeps me in check, but also I feel like I can inspire him to make a few bolder and braver decisions in life because of my counsel. So I'm very much one of his councilmen, but he does need me at the table. Without that guy, you're just going to be a pussy, you know?
Have you always played the number 2 role? Like, you know, in monarchical times, it was always the eldest son that was passed down to the crown. From your father down to Andrew to you, has it always been an understanding, all right, I'm number 2, my brother's the leader, let me get in line, let's crush it?
You know what, I don't feel it's necessarily like that. I feel it's more that I know what his strengths are, and I'm there to compensate for his weaknesses. He knows what my strengths are, and I'm there to compensate for his weaknesses. So who's the leader and who's not all depends on the situation that we're in. Certainly me and Andrew have been a team a very long time, and we made a lot of money before we ever blew up on the internet. Our relationship was a lot more equal then, but Andrew is the famous one. I'm fully aware that he's the guy who will go in front of the camera and say the types of things or voice his opinions in a way that garner infamy and fame. And I've blown up alongside him. Mm-hmm. So, you know, part of the price is going to jail.
You know, they say that your ego is not your amigo. Mm. There must be some part of you. I mean, you're a 6'4", badass, good-looking, Hollywood-looking guy, girls, Bugattis, yet you're willing to take a back seat to Andrew's fame. So you must have a big ego to be the place that you're in, but you also have to take a step back and say, all right, Andrew, you're the guy. How do you grapple with that?
Well, yeah, with what we're doing now, Andrew's certainly the face of it. But he wanted to build this. This was never my intention. I thought, okay, you're going to make some money on the internet. That's cool, Andrew. You do that. I'll continue doing what... In fact, I'm going to interject with another story. There was a time when me and Andrew could barely pay the rent. He was training and he was fighting full-time. He was a kickboxing one-time world champion, I think, at the time. And I was selling windows. Now, I'm a great salesman. So I was bringing home 1,000+ British pounds per week. He didn't tell you this story, did he?
No.
He said he was a window
He
salesman.
said he sold windows, but not the one you bring in.
But he didn't say he was balling out, making 1,000 a week.
No, I mean, that's not balling out. I think these 3 glasses of whiskey cost about 1,000. But I was making about 1,000 British pounds a week. Andrew had a previous sales experience. I was at the time working in sales, and Andrew was just living off his fight money. So I would come home every day. I say, I made this much sales, etc. I'll pay the rent. You keep fighting, because I was helping to support his kickboxing career. One day, Andrew looks at me and he says, you know what, Tristan, I'm just going to start selling for the same company you're selling for. We could bring $2,000-$3,000 into the house a week. We'll have a good life. We'll make money. And I said, Andrew, no, you can't do that. You can't do that, because if you are spending all your time chasing sales leads and knocking on people's doors like I am, then you're never going to find the time to discover something better, to discover something that's going to take us out of this crappy apartment. It's going to take us out of this crappy life. So even back then, when I was willing to work away selling windows instead of kickbox, because I got paid almost nothing. I was the European champion at my height. My most I've ever got paid was $1,000 a fight. I knew that wasn't the financially viable option for me. I was willing to sell windows to let Andrew continue to have time to train, but also have time to think. So now everyone's like, oh, well, he's the face of this online persona, and you guys make a lot of money for it. I'm like, I'm fine behind the scenes. I'm perfectly happy. I'm not missing anything from my life with my 2 million Twitter followers. I need 6.8 million to fulfill. People will often try to, I guess, pit me against Andrew, which is the stupidest idea in the world. But they'll say stupid things to me like, your brother's more famous than you. And I'll say, yeah, my brother's more famous than you. Like, what's the big deal? If your brother were Mike Tyson, for example, and someone said your brother's a better boxer than you, you'd be like, yeah, my brother's Mike Tyson. It's this strange type of jealousy and envy that I think a lot of men can't cope with, that makes them drag each other down like crabs in a bucket. If my brother became, a billionaire, the world's richest man, and I had to stay at this level, I'd be like, yeah, my brother's the world's richest man. I'd be proud of him. And I don't see anything wrong with that. It's not a competition. We're a team.
I think that's a big thing. So I got an 11-year-old son and a 9-year-old son. Okay.
Beautiful.
And the perspective to have, there's got to be also a massive level of maturity of the younger one towards the older one. I'm the younger sibling in my family. My sister's 6 years older. But we got a very good relationship in our family. But the wisdom of the younger is different than the wisdom of the older, right? You're more watching, you're more like, okay, yeah, that's probably not a good idea. I saw Dad smack him upside the head. I shouldn't do that. Okay, wow, that's pretty good. That leads to good praise, or that's good. Yeah, I don't like that. I have no interest in that. Okay, it's pretty. I would have probably done it this way, but I get it. So you have a different optic, right, to see different things. At what point was it when you're coming up and you guys you were talking outside and you're like, hey, we're so competitive that, hey, 6 years ago, the whole prank concept, we no longer do pranks, all this. We're a big prank family ourselves. When was it, and even maybe from your pops, did Dad drive you guys to compete against each other, or did Dad drive you guys to compete against the world? What was his selling point to the two of you?
I don't think it's something that we learned from my father. Okay. My father didn't have a brother or another guy in his life who were close like me and Andrew. I think it's something that happened organically. And it's not so much competition against each other in terms of what I can do and he can. It's more like, how much am I going to contribute to the team that you don't? So a perfect example, this house is set up literally perfect for it. I'll come down in the morning, 7 a.m. Andrew's at his laptop. We'll go there's an exercise we hate doing. You put 30 kilograms on a burpee bar, on a weight bar. You do a burpee, lift it above your head, and you do it 150 times. It's tiring, it's horrible. So I'll do them and I'll say, Andrew, you're a pussy. Why haven't you done them yet? Then he'll do them. And then I'll go do them again, just because. I know if I do them, he has to do them. That's not, people can see it as two men competing against each other, or you can see it as two men within the same house getting stronger and pushing each other to become stronger. When we're racing around racetracks, we're both, I guess, professionally trained drivers. We have lots of track experience, lots of road experience. The fact that he will drive faster than me will inspire me to do better in myself. Then me and my brother as a team are better drivers. It's not two men competing against each other. It's us against the world, but that's something that happened very organically. And he's always been the better kickboxer. I'm bigger maybe I'm probably fatter, but I've certainly got more muscle as well. But people see me smash the pads, and amateurs, like a girl I knew once said, "Oh wow, you hit the pad so hard. Can you beat Andrew in a fight?" I'm like, no. When I try to punch Andrew, I punch nothing. I hit air, and he ends up counter punching. So he's always been the better kickboxer. But I could take that and be like, you know what? Good. He's the 4-time world champion. Good. That's my brother, and just be proud. It's us against the world.
So that wasn't Pops. That was more you guys.
Yeah, it was us. It wasn't anything my father naturally instilled. I mean, he certainly wouldn't let us fight and argue with each other. He had some unconventional punishments. If we were ever arguing, he'd lock us in a cupboard together to sit there and stare at each other.
He told us that story.
He told you that story.
Just sitting
there we go.
Staring
that
at
way,
each other
that
for
way,
hours
that way,
on end.
that way, you know it's true.
When you're sitting staring at your brother because you guys were acting up and fighting or whatever, you might want to implement this for Dylan and Tico if you boys see
do
this.
It works.
You're staring at each other.
Yeah.
What did you learn about your brother at that point? What do you think he learned about you just sitting staring for hours on end as a punishment?
I think you just realize that the conflict has no benefit. You're going to end up standing in that cupboard. That's the payoff for your conflict. There's no victory competing against your brother. And, we grew up in Luton as a huge Asian diaspora, I guess. Lots of Indians, lots of Pakistanis, lots of Sikhs, lots of Muslims. And these people work as a team. It's one of the reasons they outcompete British people, native British people, in almost every single metric. And we knew a guy named Bali. I hope Andrew hasn't told you this.
No.
So he was a lawyer, probably 50,000 pounds a year. And he drove a $400,000 Ferrari, a 400,000 pound Ferrari, and a 500,000 pound Rolls Royce sometimes. And we were saying, like, do you think Bali's a drug dealer? What do you think he's up to? And me and Andrew at the time, had quite a close brotherhood. And he looked at us one day. I said, Bali, how do you have all this money? How do you get these fancy cars when you're just a lawyer? And you're relatively young. He was like 26, 27, about 5 or 6 years older than I was at the time. And Bali's exact answer was, I remember he said, you white people are stupid. Now, I'm mixed race. He wasn't talking anything racial. He was talking about, I guess, native British people. He says, you will have 5 sons, or your father may have 5 sons, which for someone in my culture, he was a Sikh, an Indian Sikh from Punjab. He said, that's a jackpot. And this Englishman's 5 sons will all move out of the family home. They'll pay 5 rents, probably to people like me. They'll take 5 different student debts out, go out 5 different career paths. They'll get 5 different mortgages, marry 5 different women, and never see each other again. You see, my father had 5 sons. Now I'm a lawyer. My brother's a dentist. My father's an engineer. My other brother owns a construction company. And every single skill set that they needed, to flourish was within the household. So we all live in the family home. We pool our resources. Our women work together and prepare food for us. We work, and every time that we have new children or the family is expanded, we just expand.